Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 518. Campaign and or battle card-driven games that we do not own.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
The Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. We absolutely love our Game Toppers. And, one of the things that we talk about these constantly, we love them. I mean, they're this amazing solution for an epic game surface that can go anywhere. We talk about the quality of the components, the mats, all of these things. One of the things we don't talk about as often enough, I think, is the mobility of these, because that's one of the genius things about the Game Toppers is that you can pack them up and take them to other places. So, you need to bust one out and just have a really great game night at home. That's awesome. You can set it up at the dinner table. Great, no problem. Or you can do like we do and pack them all up and take them to a convention and make everybody stare and ooh and ah as they walk by your incredible Game Toppers. But the point I'm making is they're mobile. You just pack them up. You can carry them anywhere. You can set them up anywhere. That's part of what makes the Game Toppers so fantastic is their mobility.
Yeah, the storage solution and the packing solution is great. They're big padded bags so that they're easy to carry. They're protected. They don't weigh a ton, but they are a little bit bulky, so they do weigh something. So the straps on them are sturdy and reinforced. Very nice.
Yeah. And then on the total other end of that spectrum, if you just need a permanent game table to sit in your game room and you want it to be epic and amazing, they've got that too, right? So you take this mobile table and rather than putting it on an existing surface, you can get a leg kit for it. You can get dining leaf covers for it. It can become like a total table solution. So really whatever you need, fully mobile or fully permanent, they've got what you need. So go check them out, GameToppersLLC.com.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Andy Holiday.
And I am Douglas Stewart.
We have a website. It is awesome, full of content, full of goodness. Everything and anything you want to know about Meeple Nation can be found there. That's MeepleNation.com. Take a gander. While you're gandering, you can also find the link to our Patreon site. We love our patrons. Our patrons make our content continue to happen, and we are grateful to them. You can also feel free to send us an email at meeplenation@gmail.com. We love to chat with people. We chat with our friend Salvatore. We chat with Jody. We chat with Amanda. All those people got a hold of us via meeplenation@gmail.com. Reach on out. Let us know what you think and what games you're playing.
All right, speaking of what games you're playing, what games are we playing? What have we played that are making highlights for the week?
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the podcast where we get to talk about what we've been playing and why we like board games so stinking much. And one of the games that I've been playing this last week is Paleo. And this is one that I played quite a bit back in the day. I played it with a group of friends. We started playing it. We kind of jumped around and then we realized you're supposed to kind of play these missions in order. And so we were playing through them and we got to one of the missions because you kind of play this game. It has like a really cool modular card system where you take different modules and you shuffle them into the main deck, and that sort of sets the objectives for the game that you're going to play and the difficulty for the game that you're going to play. And we got to one particular scenario and it just kept kicking our rear ends over and over and over. I think we probably played it 5 or 6 times and we just lost and lost and lost. And we were like, we're done with this game. And we put it back on the shelf and it's just been sitting there for a long time. Anyway, recently I had that same group over and we were like, hey, let's pull out Paleo and see if we can get past that stupid scenario. So we pulled it out. We actually started from the beginning. We had to kind of read the rules a little bit, but we restarted from the beginning and we did get through the scenario. It was one that involved wolves and they kept killing us, but we finally overcame the wolves. But Paleo is it's a really great cooperative game. Basically, you have like a deck of cards and they all kind of have different backs on them. So you kind of know what the card is going to do. Like it'll have a picture of a forest on it or mountains or rivers or like dreams, that kind of thing. So it's like it represents the different things you might do as this tribe of
Not quite cavemen.
Yeah, not quite cavemen,
close.
but close, like the paleo time frame, that kind of deal. And so you have this big deck of cards, you shuffle them up, again, including those modules that change things up from game to game. You divvy the cards out as equally as you can, and then everybody gets to look at the top 3, and based on the back of the card, you pick one to play, like kind of what you want to do on that round, and then everybody's going to flip them over at the same time. And you got to deal with hazards and different events, but also a lot of the cards allow you to cooperate on different tasks. So like I could help somebody else do what's on theirs, or they could help me. And by building different tools and getting different tribe members, and everything's represented by icons. So you can build, and you have to have insight, and you got to be able to fight, be able to like kill mammoths, hunt, that kind of thing. And so you combine all your resources to pull off the events on certain cards. Basically you're trying to collect resources. So you're trying to get enough food to feed your people, trying to collect wood and stone to build tools and make fire and all that kind of stuff. And you just kind of play round after round after round until you either win or lose. And ultimately what you're trying to do is you have to build 5 pieces to this cave painting. It's like this mammoth cave painting. And if you can get all those built, you win the game. And if not, then the wolves eat you and everyone dies.
I owned this game. I culled this game. I enjoyed this game, but not enough to keep it.
I think it's great. I
would
really like it.
I would, as you're talking, I would like to try it again for sure.
This was a Spiel des Jahres winner.
Yeah.
Did very well. And they do have an expansion for it that we haven't played yet. The expansion, though, is kind of meant to be played after you've played the core box. It sort of is an evolution, like your tribe is sort of a little more settled. And now they're starting to build structures and shelter and dive into animal husbandry and all this kind of stuff. So we're hoping to keep playing it, and hopefully we'll get there. But really enjoying Paleo.
Cool. I've never played it.
It's good. Yeah, I bet you like it. I really do.
Sounds like I probably would.
I know Dave likes it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, Dave likes this one a lot.
Yeah, he does. So I got kind of a funny highlight. I lost a game recently, and that was pretty awesome.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. My wife and I have been playing Heat quite a bit lately, pedal to the metal. Heat, pedal to the metal. And I have been on a track record of beating her quite soundly, not necessarily quite soundly, but she'll be in the lead, and then I'm able to manage my discards so that at the end I can zoom right past her. And that has made her quite mad. And then the other day she finally beat me, and she was pretty darn happy about that.
Yeah, I bet she was.
Yeah, so it was a good experience to be able to share in her victory, even though it was my defeat. And no, I didn't let her win. I never let my wife just win a game. It is, as with anybody that's played, it's just earned. I mean, I tend to lose on a regular basis, but so not winning against me is not any like pivotal moment. Just ask Jody. Jody's been kicking my butt in games on PGA. But playing Heat, I really enjoy Heat. And I think we're getting to the point now that maybe we're going to try to do some of the campaign stuff. And,
that looks really
the
good.
Circuit stuff. It's not necessarily a campaign.
The circuit. Yep.
The circuit stuff. Because we've gone through several of the maps now, and it's time to evolve that a little bit more. But also getting the chance to teach her Ticket to Ride.
Okay, now hang on. Before you move on to Ticket to Ride. Heat. The first time we played this game was at SaltCon almost a year ago.
Yes.
And Cheryl was there.
She was.
And she kicked everyone's rear end.
Yes.
And she loved it.
She did, which is why we played it.
Yeah.
And she lost. And lost. And lost. And lost.
I guess what I'm saying is you're welcome for setting the hook initially.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Well, there's been several games that we've played that somebody else has taught my wife a game that when I teach a game, sometimes it's not as received as well. Like
I know what you're saying.
Millie Fiore, Revive are games that if I had tried to teach my wife, it would have gone not as well. Not that my wife doesn't like me, because my wife's been my wife for almost 30 years now. So she still thinks I'm okay, but she just doesn't like to teach games.
Great, Nathan.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
my wife is amazing.
30 amazing years.
And she is awesome. And I am very grateful to have her still in my life. But yeah, no, it is... sometimes there's things that go better than others.
I get that, though. Sometimes you need somebody else to teach the game so that then you can reap the rewards of just enjoying it with them.
Yeah, especially the longer games, because if it's when she gets impatient, it's more obvious that she's impatient with me, and she's more polite to you, Doug. She's more polite to you, Andy. So when those bigger games come out, it's always nice if
She can get mad at us and we go home.
Yeah. It's like, but anyways, yeah, Heat has been it's been a long time coming, but she has won her second game of Heat.
Yeah. You need to get her to play Foundations of Rome, because that was another one I taught her that she also really
She
liked.
very much enjoyed, and actually even wanted me to find it for a second until she found out how much it was, and then she's like,
Never mind.
You don't need to get that one.
No, but if you could find a copy at like a swap meet or something,
I would totally pick that
though,
up.
it's really good, and I don't know very many people trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, there's always somebody.
But there's always someone.
There's
You're
always
right.
a Nathan out there.
Someone out there
Nice.
making mistakes at the gamesicle,
Yes.
like Paleo.
Yeah, could be.
Well, don't make this mistake, Doug. My game highlight was the fact that we were able to get Stars of Icarios back to the table. So don't call Scars of Icarios?
Scars of Icarios.
Stars of Icarios.
I never will. It's so good.
It is an
That is a
amazing
great
game. It has been, every time we play it, it's because it seems like our plays are too far apart, and it's like that. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game. And then we play it and I'm like, no, it's more than just a pretty fun game. It's an amazing game. It's so enjoyable to play, which makes me think or ask the question, why have we not played Oathsworn?
I know. It's killing me.
Yeah.
It is killing me. These campaign games that are so good. And I've already talked about this on the podcast, but I got the 1.5, like all the updated stuff.
For Oathsworn?
Yeah, for Oathsworn, I got it all integrated into the box. Like lots of the cards got buffs, and there's so
play it.
many great things to play with that game.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we gotta do it.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I want to play it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was excited that we got that to the table. It made me, honestly, playing Stars of Icarios, because I brought up Oathsworn for a reason, it really made me want to play Oathsworn again, because those two, we kind of started at the same time.
Yeah. Yep.
And so when we play one, it makes me think of the other one, even though they're not really related at all. But yeah, we definitely need to get Oathsworn to the table now that we've got Icarios going back again.
Now, the issue with Oathsworn was really what it is we were playing that with Dave, and he went back to school.
Yep.
So we're going to have to just replace his character with one of the kind of like they have like the full hero version, and then they have kind of the quick hero version, because you're always supposed to have 4 players in that game. And so we might have to just replace his character with one of the quick character versions and just keep playing.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to do that, but if we're going to get it played before Dave graduates from school.
Yeah. We hate to do that, but we really want to play. So
Yeah.
our hate and our love, the love is outwinning the hate.
Yeah. Now, I was going through and kind of cleaning up our notes from Stars of Icarios. We are actually getting really close to finishing the first act.
Oh, cool.
So we played through the intro, right? The prologue or whatever that is. And we are getting real close to being done with the first act. We're definitely more than halfway through it. And it's a 3-act game. So we've made more progress and played it more than we are probably giving ourselves credit for. So I was excited to see how much we had actually accomplished.
Yeah. Such a great game.
Awesome. Now, Nathan, earlier I had rudely interrupted you to talk about Heat. You were about to talk about Ticket to Ride. I'm curious what highlight you had that was Ticket to Ride related.
I have the Ticket to Ride Anniversary Edition, the Ticket to Ride Europe and 10-year Anniversary Edition, which is a very nice production of that game.
It's an outstanding production.
Yes.
It really is. It's great.
And I've enjoyed playing it. So we played it with Andy, you, Amara, Carrie, and Lydia. And you have always talked about this being your favorite version, and so has Amara. And I see why. It is very fun, and it also has a BGA implementation that I've gotten my wife to play. And I haven't lost quite as dramatically as I have in regular Ticket to Ride yet.
So you like it better.
But so far, but I am enjoying the alternate, the tunnels, the stations, and the way that the map is completely different, and how the connections are all, Europe connections, and just the pattern is different. And it's not just that it's Europe, right? It's the way that they're all connected, and sometimes you have 2 or 3 tracks instead of just 2 tracks going to one city. And the play is very similar, if not identical, with the exception of the tunnels and the train stations. But this game is very good.
Yeah.
But my wife is whooping me in that game as well.
Well, you've had some rough plays of Ticket to Ride.
I have.
Some negative point plays.
Yes.
Oof.
But I've enjoyed them. And
It's awesome.
Winning is not necessarily the meaning of board games, but sometimes those losses are a little bit bitter to swallow.
Yeah.
Especially ones that are tied at 13 points.
Yes, I love those ones. Though.
Oh,
Those are my
wow.
favorite.
There it is. You guys, if it's not Seafall, it's the 13-point tie in Dune Imperium. Always bringing it up. Salt in the wounds.
Andy loves to share his digs.
Ticket to Ride really is great. I mean, it's not one that sees a lot of table time at my house anymore, but it is a classic. And
Yeah.
and when you get it out and play it, you are kind of reminded like, oh yeah, this is a pretty fun game. Like,
Yeah, and
it
the
is good.
10-year anniversary edition is
Yeah.
very classy looking.
Yeah. I will say not all of the maps and versions of the game are great. I have played some that I don't care for as much. I didn't care for was it the Netherlands one nearly as much. There were a couple different ones that I didn't care for nearly as much. I am curious though, have you guys played the Japanese version? Have you played
not.
on the Japan map? So the Japan map actually does something really cool. So you build the Shinkansen, the bullet train, as a community train. So you can contribute and you go up a track for contributing to building the Shinkansen instead of your own personal tracks. But anybody can take advantage of the Shinkansen to connect to different routes.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it actually does a lot to flip the gameplay on its head. We should probably play that because I feel like that's my personal favorite version of it. And I do feel like it elevates it into just a little bit more of a gamer's game version of Ticket to Ride. And, I love all things Japan. So there is that as well.
Allowed. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've got that one. We should play that sometime. Add it to the list. Good grief.
Add it to the list. Yes. That's what we need to do is have an episode of what we've taken off the list instead of what we're just adding to the list.
I like it. Let's do it. No, really. Let's do it.
Really, let's do it.
Coming soon.
All right.
TM.
Let's talk about some of those games that we don't own. So again, we're talking about campaign games or games that are more of a military campaign or a battle card driven campaign. As we talk about some of these games that we don't own, there are going to be some repeats. And honestly, I don't think we really want to spend a ton of time on those repeats. So like games like Twilight Struggle, it's been on there.
Yeah. War of the Ring.
War of the
second
Rings
edition.
been on
Yeah.
there. Second edition. War of the Rings first edition.
Yeah. So first, remind us, Nathan, what's the process you go through for creating this list? Because it is important.
It is important. What I do is I will take the mechanic that we're looking at, find it in BGG, and then I will say, hey, I want games that are rated from 10 to 7 and show me in the highest order down to the lowest. But there needs to be at least 2,000 reviews.
Yes.
Because I don't want somebody who just says, hey, my game is amazing. And then you check out the game and it's not amazing.
The voice helps.
Yes, yeah. Not amazing. It's disappointing. But so I think when you have an account of at least 2,000, you tend to find more of those games that are worthy of being at the top than as opposed to somebody just saying that this game is a 10.
Right. So we basically try to find the mechanic that we're looking at. We try to find the very best of the best, compile a list, take out everything that we do own, and we're left with kind of a top, usually about 20 games that are supposedly really good in that genre that we just don't own. And we kind of talk about the reasons why. And like you said, we've talked about a lot of these in previous why we don't own these episodes. Number 1 was Twilight Struggle. Number 2 was War of the Ring, second edition. Number 3 was War of the Ring, obviously just like the first edition. And then number 4 was Innis. All 4 of these games are ones we've talked about in the past. We've expressed a lot of desire to learn how to play War of the Ring. We just haven't gotten around to it yet. Twilight Struggle is not really a theme that I think any of us is interested in. And Innis is one we've tried that was good, but not great.
Yeah.
Which takes us to number 5.
So number 5 on the list is a game called Commands and Colors. There's a whole series of Command and Colors games. This is a 2-player game, which, I mean, sometimes we shoot down 2-player games, not necessarily something that automatically makes it a no, But
But a lot of times it does.
But a lot of times it does.
I lament this, but the 2-player games that are sitting on my shelf are oftentimes the ones collecting the most dust.
Yeah.
And I hate that because they're great games.
However, the playtime on this makes it far more accessible.
Yeah, 60 minutes is pretty accessible time.
Yeah.
And this is the same game designer as Memoir 44.
Yep.
And-
Richard Borg.
Yeah, Richard Borg. So, we've liked Memoir 44, and the game actually seems interesting. So it's 15 battles that you're going to play throughout the game, right? And it takes place from 3000 BC all the way up to 480. And it ranges in scale from your units represent like big legions of warriors versus just small groups of fighters that have whatever they're trying to do for that particular scenario. So it sounds kind of interesting. And it sounds like going through the scenarios isn't going to be more of the same every single time, which I think is cool.
Yeah. But then you get to look at it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's not a
And it
pretty
looks-
game.
it
Just going to
looks
say
pretty
that.
boring.
Yeah. Which should not be a turnoff from a great game,
For sure.
but first impressions are important. And this
Yeah.
doesn't make a really great first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But no, it would be something that I would be willing to try. And maybe if I see this at a swap, maybe I'll try to pick it up. But still not something that I am anxiously running for.
So as I'm looking at the pictures of this, though, there are some pieces. I don't know if they're aftermarket pieces, but you have elephant riders, you have units that have actual terrain that's 3-dimensional.
Yeah, that's got to be aftermarket.
It's got to be aftermarket. Now, if it looked something like that, that would be far more intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, it does use it uses hard little pieces of wood that kind of remind you of like Stratego,
Right.
and that allows you to hide your movements. And so I see a lot of similarity between Memoir 44 in this game, which does make it a little bit appealing. And again, I mean, you talk about that 60-minute time play. It is something that if I see, I would be very, very tempted to pick up. But I'm not actively looking for it.
Right.
Absolutely. So that takes us to number 6, which is Combat Commanders Europe, another 2-player only game with a 3.25 weight. So it's not super heavy, but then you look at the playtime as well, 60 to 180 minutes. So potentially a 3-hour game
Right.
for 2 people. That's a little more heavyweight. And it actually looks kind of interesting. It looks like sort of an interesting World War II themed game, but man, if I'm going to play a 2-player World War II themed game, I'm probably just going to reach for Undaunted.
Yeah. No, and I see this. I mean, I've played 3-hour games of Star Wars Rebellion. As a 2-player game, if you have 2 people that can just get together and play this, I totally see where this could be the appeal, but not enough to drive my appeal.
Well, it looks like you have different maps, so it changes it up a little bit. You probably have different scenarios or different things you're trying to get done. You have maps with buildings and forests and different stuff that it looks interesting, at least, to where it's not just line up your units and go head to head and it's just a bloodbath, right? It looks like there may be some tactics or some mission-driven content that you got to do in each of the scenarios. Possibly, I don't know.
It's very much a tactics game.
It looks like it could be fun. Once again, it's not like a lot of these games. It's not a beautiful production, right? It's 2-dimensional and kind of blah, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to scratch all those campaign
it would
players that are after campaign games. It's going to be right up their alley.
totally would.
Not necessarily what we look for in a game.
Right. And we're going to have a lot of the similar things to say about number 7, which is Paths of Glory. Another 2-player only game, 480 minutes.
Yeah, I would be out on this one.
And 3.85 on the weight scale. And oh my goodness, looks like a slog to get
Yeah.
through.
Now,
Just
again-
a big map with lots of tiles. I tons of people love this kind of game.
Absolutely.
It's just not our type of game, which is why we don't own it.
Correct.
We do not own a game like this. I don't think we'd ever play a game like this.
Yeah. Well, I do have a squad leader over there, but that's just because it was available at the thrift store, and I figured I couldn't leave that there. And I'm probably going to return it back to the thrift store.
Nice.
Next one on the list. Apparently this particular mechanic is full of 2-player games.
Yeah. Well, and it does make sense
It
because
does,
a lot of
yeah.
it is that campaign of one army versus the other. But this one does have a little bit more appeal to it, but still, it's a 200-minute game, very complex. And a lot of it is still just those small cardboard pieces that you're moving around the board.
Yeah. This is Hannibal, Rome versus Carthage, which was that's going to be number 8 on our list. And it's also a 1996 game. And I shouldn't be scared off by that, but I kind of am. Like old board game sensibilities, I worry about sometimes, and it's just like a personal fear of mine. But just for that reason alone, I probably wouldn't. Plus, it's just too long and too heavy.
Well, the one thing that is appealing to this, which is not super common, I think, with those older games, is that it does have the asymmetry to it. So it's an asymmetry card-driven 2-player game. I like that, where when you're playing one side, it's different. I think that makes it a little more interesting. Maybe the replayability is a little bit higher on it. But yeah, the playtime would just, unless your plays are 40 minutes, closer to that 40-minute mark, 40 minutes to 200 minutes. I mean, it's not like we don't play games that take that long. We do.
Yeah.
But there's a little more, I don't know. It's that deep strategy, tactical brain burn that you get from games like this that I used to enjoy immensely, but have gotten to where I don't get as much out of them, as much enjoyment out of them anymore.
No. But you look at the next one, Here I Stand. We're out of the 2-player games, 2 to 6 players, but how about that 3 to 6 hour time frame and a 4.19 on the complex level? And
at least with a 2-player game, if it's got that playtime, hopefully your turns are coming back and forth quickly. But can you imagine a 6-player game that's going to take 360 minutes?
Feels like 360 minutes is between each turn.
Yeah, exactly. That would be miserable.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these games, and I guess, we talk about how much, I talk about how much you guys are dependent on miniatures as opposed to me. And I look at these and I think, man, this game needs some miniatures. So apparently I like miniatures more than I think I do.
Well, the standees aren't the greatest standees, but I guess it's one of those things where that's not what the players that like these types of games, that's not what floats their boat with the game. It's the tactics. It's the strategy involved. It's the
very
gameplay,
heavy
right?
strategy.
Yep.
It may not be necessarily even themed so much, but and obviously not components.
Yeah. No, it's all strategy.
Strategy. Well, and theme. I do think for a lot of people it's theme.
It could be.
Yeah. I think World War II and World War I, a lot of these like military games, there's a huge following for people who love to kind of play reenactments of some of those battles and get into the history of it and everything else. So I do think that plays an important role in a lot of these games.
So Labyrinth is the next one, The War on Terror 2001 through ?
And that's literally what's posted on the box, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not just something that
we're making up.
Yeah. Labyrinth. And then underneath, The War on Terror, 2001 through ?
And this is interesting too, because it's 1 or 2 player. So you're a 1 player. This might be perfect for those people who can't get with a friend to battle this out. 3-hour game, 3.66 on the scale. But still comes back to it looks pretty dry to my eye anyway. And I guess I didn't realize how much of table presence
Player you are?
makes a game for me.
Yeah.
But because there's so many of these that I'm just like, yep, that just doesn't look exciting to me at all.
Well, a lot of these are just like really, they're cardboard tiles that have a lot of dense information on them.
Yeah.
Laid across a big map.
Yep.
And that, man, I like a strategic experience, and I'm sure there is a great experience to be had in some of these. They're well rated. However, that just seems like a slog to get through. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing I would want to do. Maybe I ought to give one of these a try, though. I will say, so if you're a listener and you have one of these like really good war, like World War II or whatever themed games that you really like that maybe is underappreciated because of its aesthetic or whatever, let us know. Because if there's a good place to start with these, and maybe there's a whole world there to explore that we're cutting ourselves off from, but they just don't look like what I want to play right now.
What we probably need to try is maybe one of these. I mean, we already have a love for Richard Borg with Memoir 44. So maybe we need to try one of these simpler, not necessarily simpler, but more digestible Command and Colors. Like the next one is Command and Colors Napoleonics. It's a 90-minute playtime. These Command and Colors, I'll use these wooden Stratego-like pieces to help
to
keep information secret until you flip them over.
Yeah, I was going to say this has a lot of Stratego vibes going on.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's if you're new to this campaign style game, that maybe that might be something to try. We'll start with one of those Richard Borg ones.
Yeah, that might be a really good place to kind of start. One that we skipped over it, but if we go back, we've got this game Upfront, another 2-player game with a 3.42, but only an hour to play. And one of the things that I was noticing on this one is that the cards and stuff, they seem to be a lot more focused on like the military weapons and gear, which I think is kind of a fascinating take. This seems to be a little bit more micro level when it comes to the conflict. And that's maybe a little more intriguing to me, like gearing out your infantry and where to roll your tanks and some of that kind of stuff. So I'm actually a little bit more intrigued by this Upfront game than some of these others. So that might be one I need to check out. I'm going to just add this to my list here real quick. That's a 7.9 rating, 3.42 on the weight complexity, only an hour to play, 2-player Upfront. I might check that one out.
So we've talked about wanting miniatures and maybe throw a little fantasy in there for one of these types of games. I got one
something
for you.
that's going to do that?
I got one.
All right,
I got one for you. I got Bloodborne, the board game.
You have Bloodborne, the card game, right?
I do have
Okay.
Bloodborne, the card game. I do not own the board game. It's rated 7.8 on VGG, which it's pretty high. 45 to 75 minutes on the
That's
playtime.
not bad.
That is not bad.
Yeah, I for some reason was thinking Bloodborne was a more of a big, long, epic, sprawling kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so too.
Yeah, that is very digestible. Weight is 3.04. So a mid-weight game that's going to be played in 45 to 75 minutes. That's absolutely doable. And it's a cooperative game, so it's cooperative and it has an element of exploration in it. And then there's the deck, bag, and pool building hand management aspect of it too. It actually looks like it could be pretty fun. So
Oh, I know why I don't own this game.
why don't you own this game?
Because, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 expansion boxes for it.
Ah,
This is a CMON game.
oh, there it is. Yep,
Yeah.
sure enough. Oh, it's Eric Lang though.
Is it?
Yeah,
Well,
I do
that's
like Eric Lang.
I like
was gonna
Eric
say
Lang too, but
so I was just looking over the miniatures. The miniatures on this look really incredible.
They do.
So I guess that makes sense because CMON, which used to be cool mini or not, like as in like rate this mini. Is this a cool mini or not a cool mini? That was kind of how minis was how they got their started. And they still do minis very, very well. And this game does look like it has a lot of incredible minis.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
very cool looking.
and you look at the board though, even the board, just the color that is there, that just is so much more aesthetically pleasing than some of these plain
Yeah. Yes.
plain war games that are just, it has a green hue because it's grasslands, or there's a picture of a shrubbery there. I just that color makes it stand out so much more, makes it feel so much more appealing to me. My eye gravitates to it, which means I'm more likely to want to play it. So art does matter. Apparently minis do too.
I kind of want to buy this game.
I figured you would.
That's awesome. Just playing maybe the base game would be actually pretty cool. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, this might be really cool. The problem is though, like you said, like 12 expansions, because there's no way.
Yeah.
Not for me anyway. So if anyone
Andy's
wants
got
to
it.
buy it all.
Andy's got it.
Great. Sounds like we're going to be playing some
Tempt me,
Bloodborne.
Frodo.
So the next one on the list is an actual campaign game, a political campaign game, and that is 1960, The Making of the President. This does not sound exciting to me at all.
What?
No, I just...
The picture has kind of like an old-fashioned vibe to it with a red, white, and blue American flag, and then you've also got Kennedy and Nixon, and doesn't look like my kind of thing.
It's rated 7.6, guys.
I
there you go.
get that.
And it is a map of the United States with lots of blue and red cubes.
Yeah, not
just-
exciting me at all.
Just what I want in today's political climate. a map of blue versus red. Yeah, I'll take a pass on that one. However, the next one,
Looks cool.
Gears of War, the board game. Now, I never played the video game.
Haven't you? It's
I
awesome.
played the original one.
Yeah, it's great.
And I actually have Gears of War, the card game, which came out just last year. But, the miniatures look cool on this.
Yeah, this looks way nice.
Does look nice. Yeah, I'm looking through some of these pictures. This looks pretty cool.
I'd be in.
Oh, and this is a Fantasy Flight Games game.
Oh, is it?
Yep. Yeah, they usually do a pretty
Why
good
is it
job.
not on our list already then?
Yeah,
Question.
this might be one. Now, this 2011,
Yep.
little older. However, I am intrigued.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm thumbing through some of these images. This does look kind of good. And especially if you guys have a fondness for that IP, the Gears of War IP, it might be one to check out.
Yeah, the video game's really fun, and I mean it's a cooperative game again. So you're dealing with hand management, variable player powers, has a solo mode and campaign, obviously area movement. So it has a dungeon crawl feel to it. It looks cool, and it plays in 60 to 180 minutes. But it's a dungeon crawl, so who cares how long it is?
This is also
That's
another
all
one
it
that
has
Andy
to
will be
be.
picking up, I'm sure.
Well, another one that I've actually been tempted by in the past, but I don't know if this one's going to be, I don't know. So, okay, the next one on the list is Black Rose Wars. I don't know a whole lot about this. This is by Ludus Magnus Studios. It's got some names associated with it that I'm not very familiar with, but it does have a pretty cool box and some fun minis and some cool components.
The board looks amazing too.
Yeah,
it's a hexagonal board. That's cool looking.
Yeah, it's kind of one that's intriguing, and it's rated well, like 8.0.
Wow.
I mean, the first line has me. A competitive fantasy game of deck building, strategy, and combat set in the hectic universe of Nova Atea in Italy. So, I mean, you have deck building, strategy, combat. Those are, I'll allow all of those.
That's fascinating. So this is set in the same universe as Novitas. So I just got Novitas Resistance that just fulfilled. Like I backed that one, and it looks like an amazing little dungeon crawl game. Maybe that's why I didn't back this one, was because I had backed that one, and they kind of are in the same universe. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more diving into this Novitas universe. It's sort of like a fantasy version of the Italian Renaissance.
Yeah.
Which
It's
actually
cool.
is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little intrigued by that one. I'm going to throw that one on the list too. Might be one we need to check out.
And so another Fantasy Flight game, Battles of Westeros, 2010. This looks like some of Fantasy Flight's beginning discovery of their whole current model that they go to. But War of the Ring was in the same time frame. This is 1 to 2 hours. It's a 2-player game again, which is kind of going to limit a lot of our playable options. So that's what I think. If a game's going to be 2 players, it's got to either be quick and simple to play as kind of more of a filler game, or it has to be something that is so outrageously epic that I'm super excited to get to.
Or something you can get your wife to play.
Yeah, which goes back to the simple,
Right.
quicker to play.
Yeah.
This doesn't fit any of those categories for me.
No.
Yep. It does look like it kind of focuses in on more of the military strategy on the battlefield, like battlefield tactical skirmishy kind of thing is what I'm getting from the pictures that I'm looking at. And I do like that. Like this isn't one I would say no to if somebody was passionate about it and wanted to teach sometime. But it's probably not what I'm going to go seek out.
Yeah, if somebody's willing to teach, I'd totally play. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's not one that I'm anxiously looking to add to my shelf of shame.
All right. Well, we've got 3 more on the list, and let's run through them here really quick. We've got Triumph and Tragedy, European Balance of Power, 1936 to 1945.
That is a mouthful.
What a mouthful. Yep. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
And there it is.
It's more cubes and tokens and stuff on a big map. And honestly, just the political themes in general just don't grab me. I'm not into political themed games. It's just not something I want to do. So that's kind of me personally. And then we've also got Hammer of the Scots, a 2002 game from Columbia Games.
This must have been a thing back when these were released, is the wooden tokens set up Stratego style.
Well, it was
right.
kind of an advancement from the cardboard chits. I
Yeah.
mean, they still use a lot of those cardboard chits that are there.
But they're not laid flat. They're laid up
Yeah.
so
You
that's
have
hidden
hidden
information.
yeah.
Right? So it seems to be a common thing among a lot of these games that look similar. They'll have the wooden pieces that are set up more like Stratego pieces on the map. And anyway,
Yeah,
Stratego's
my brother would have loved would love these games. It's history, epic battles, strategic. long, boring. He would love these.
Interesting. I'm looking through some of the images and it even looks like somebody's kind of custom made some of the stickers that go on these pieces. So they've created there's like Braveheart that has Mel Gibson.
Oh, nice.
It has Braveheart for William Wallace as one of the units in there. That's pretty cool. So obviously people like these kind of games and are into them. And then the last one on our list is Churchill, another kind of political themed game. It says 1 to 3 players, best at 3.36 on the weight, and a 60 to 300 minute game. Just can't wrap my head around playing a game like this for that long.
Yeah. I mean, that's like Andy said, we've played games for that long for sure. But like you say, Doug, playing a game like this for that long,
yeah,
just is not, I mean, whether you want to play Roosevelt, Churchill, or Stalin, just none of those are not singing to me.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is all of these games that we talked about in the overall rank on BGG were somewhere between like the 200 and 700 mark. Almost all of them fell between those. And with all the games on BGG, those are highly rated games.
Yeah, very highly rated.
So people who like these games, man, if you're one of those players, you're probably just cringing hearing us talk about these. But like, tell us, man, if you are into these kinds of games, tell us where to start because they don't look that great. And the political theme isn't that great, at least for us. So if there's a good place to start, if there's one we should really check out, email us at maplenation@gmail.com. Let us know where to start with some of these games because they're not grabbing us, but maybe that's just because we don't know.
We're not the connoisseurs of these types of games, clearly.
No pinky up for us.
Not for us. Doesn't mean we would not be willing to try some of them.
Yeah, we're not going to turn our nose up of it. Yeah. We're not going to turn our nose up at it, but not seeking to put any of these on the shelf.
Yep.
Yeah, Churchill looks like it's going to be, so Churchill's the last one on the list, and it's going to be more of the same. It's going to have a larger map, has more of a risk field from what I'm seeing. But you also have other player boards with tracks and political figures. You have Churchill, you have Stalin, and I'm having a hard time. No, Roosevelt. It looks like Roosevelt. It was upside down. It looks like Roosevelt. So there's obviously some political figures. So once again, Doug, this is going to be right up your alley with the politics and no, I'm just kidding, Doug. Don't get mad at me. Don't look at me like that. And anyway, yes, a little bit more of the same. I get what you're saying, Doug. If you wanted to try one of these, it would be hard to know exactly where to start. I mean, just looking at the ratings, I get that, but those are rated by people who are obviously into games like this. So for those of us that maybe aren't, where do you start? Maybe starting somewhere on something that's more similar to Memoir 44, like you had mentioned, Nathan. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or we just start with Bloodborne.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or we just stick with our bread and butter.
Or Gears of War. Yeah.
Or Black Rose Wars. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Love it.
Well, at least we found a few that we would be interested in on this list of 20 that we don't own. I feel at least better about that.
Yeah, the last couple of lists we've been like, yep, that's there's a reason they're not on our list.
We're good.
And we picked up from the first time we did this. I can't even remember what the name of the game was.
Black Orchestra.
Black Orchestra. Thank you. Yeah. Still haven't played it yet, but we have it now.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's why I like doing these lists because it seems like maybe we're just going through a bunch of games that we're not interested in, but there's a few little gems in there that we're like, hey, maybe we should check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think it's a good exercise. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Those are the games that we don't own. Until
yes.
Until next time.
We'll see you stocking your shelves of shame or finding an excellent campaign game at the game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, MeepleNation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/meeple_nation, or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.